Okay, guys, welcome to the writing sprints that were like super last minute. I was at a video shoot today with my clients, and I can hear myself because my thing is played on my side, and it went super late. It went right up until I had to be here. Yeah, I know. I know you guys. Anyways, I had to go and stay at the shoot for a while, and then nice to see you here, Gayla. And oh my gosh, I always have something to cut out of this video, right? Because I'm always missing something. I had pulled up the live because you have to pop out the chat for me to be able to put it in here for you guys and for me to be able to see it. And so, yeah. Hey, Brenda, nice to see you. So, anyways, I was at a video shoot. We were at this really, really cool location. I think we tagged me on my Instagram to see where we were, my Shirley Jump Instagram. We were at this place called the Motor Enclave. It's a garage for sports cars, like multi people with sports cars that they can make into basically an apartment for their cars and themselves. It's ridiculously cool. And they were racing cars and stuff. And we had a client that was filming a podcast there today. So it was very far from my house. It's like an hour and a half away in traffic, fun times. And so I got home like, I don't know, 30 minutes ago. And I was like, do I want to do sprints? I didn't even have time to post about it or anything because I did mention to you guys that I might not be able to make it. And then I had a meeting that was supposed to happen a little bit ago, and that got canceled. So I was like, I think it's a sign that I should do the sprints and join you guys and get some writing done. So I'm supposed to hear back from my editor on the end of the month about the proposal, the revised proposal I sent in. I think she forgot about it. And then I got to get started working on that book. But until then, I can keep working on the book that I've got. So I'm excited about it. I'm not really prepared for sprints today. I didn't even have time to do a writing prompt. I'm just going to use an old one because I just didn't have time to do it. Literally, it was like a minute before, and I was like, "Oh, maybe I should be able to pull this and do this after all." So it's okay. It's okay. The prompt is from like February, so it's been a while since we've used it. It's also been, I don't know how your week has been, but my week has been insane. I've been up before 6 every single day, but not really sleeping. I go through these weird periods of insomnia where I just doesn't matter how many drugs I take or what I do. I just don't sleep, period. I can just tell because my brain just will not shut off. I could take like 5 Unisom. Not that I would take 5 Unisom, but I could take like 5 and still not fall asleep. It's just like maybe it's a postmenopausal thing. Who knows? But anyways, I had like insomnia most of the week until I got completely exhausted last night and then had to be up before 6. And where I've been going all week has been at least an hour to an hour and a half drive in really heavy traffic. It's also spring break, the beginning of spring break here in Florida. So it's like triple the amount of cars on the road. And some of the snowbirds are still here. A lot of them don't leave until the end of March. Like the Canadians tend to stay until March or April. And so it's really, really packed. It's packed here, like crazy packed. And the traffic yesterday, especially, was full of insane people, like really insane people. Then I was behind a guy that was on like a scooter on the highway, like going, I don't know, 20 in the middle lane. Like, what are you thinking? That's just a way to die. I don't know, people. And yes, glad to see you here too, Dexter. And yeah, it was a last second thing. I just wasn't sure I could make it. And I'm so exhausted from my week that I really wasn't sure I was like in the mood for it. But I thought about how much I really enjoy writing with you guys, and I really couldn't miss it. So it's been hard though. I've been really trying to figure out how I can like eke another hour out of myself. It's not like when I was 30 and I was getting up at 4:30 and I was raising kids and working full time. I had a lot more ability to wake up and bounce to work and get stuff done when I was 30 than I do now. It's a lot harder to do that, and especially when I have like a week of insomnia and then I'm not sleeping, and just to get up that little bit earlier is super hard. So I haven't run all week and I haven't written all week. I have done nothing but go to work and then go to sleep. So tonight I told my husband, we're going out. I don't even want to order a pizza. I want to go somewhere like where I don't have to drive and somebody else can come and fill my wine glass and I don't have to talk to like people at work. I like the people at work. Don't get me wrong. I like them. Some of them pop in and watch my lives from time to time. I'm not saying anything bad about you guys. I've been working a lot this week, and anybody that's in my office in my department would say the same thing. So it's been crazy. And Gayla, yeah, I hate driving in the traffic. I really wish like I had a Tesla or a Waymo or something that would just drive me. I could get so much more work done. I do listen to audiobooks though. So I like that. I either listen to podcasts or audiobooks, and that helps the drive pass if it's a good audiobook. I tend to be pickier with my audiobooks than my print books because if I don't like the narrator, automatically off. And if I don't like the book in the first like 20 minutes, I'm off with that too. I forgot that I had that French mystery book and I had started another book. So I've got to come back to that French suspense book this in a few days. I've just got like 3 chapters left in the current audiobook. And then I'm still in the midst of reading, oh my gosh, I totally forgot what it was called. Stiff. It's a book about the history of autopsies and cadavers, which sounds really boring, but the author is actually really funny and you learn stuff you may or may not want to know. It's the kind of thing that I'm definitely going to buy in print because there's so much information in there about how cadavers work. That's really useful if you're writing suspense. And yay, on spring break, KW said we need a romance book between a spring breaker and a snowbird. Yes, yes, that would be funny, although they may hate each other. So the spring breakers are kind of wild sometimes. Not so much where I live, but in other parts of the state, they're really wild. And the snowbirds, we all get frustrated with their driving. So yeah, nobody can drive basically. The thing about Florida where I live is that it's people from all over the world and all over the country. So there's a lot of different driving styles. Like some guy from New York was just arrested for driving, I think it was 114 on the highway. And the cops were like, you can't drive that fast here. And he's like, I'm from New York. I do it all the time. The cops are like, you can't drive that fast here. Although I saw somewhere in the newspaper that they're thinking about raising our speed limit to 80. 80. Like most of these people shouldn't even be going 60, frankly. You know, they're not good at driving. There's an accident on my way to and home from the office every single solitary day. And at the intersection that is near our house, close enough that I can hear the sirens, there is literally an accident every single day. I don't think people should be going 80, but whatever. And yeah, it starts by a car crash. It absolutely would. It would. I saw one time, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but I was at a stoplight when I lived in Indiana and I was behind this car and a cop pulled up during the stoplight. So the light was a long light, but not like crazy long. The cop pulled up next to him, pulled the guy out and arrested him and took him away all before the light turned green. And I was like, okay, I guess I just go around this car now because they just left the car there. Yeah. Selena and Anne Murray, that would be hilarious. Hilarious. Spring Breakers movie Snowbird song. Yes, that would be hilarious. So yes, I do have a repeat writing prompt. I'm very sorry. Didn't have the bandwidth to come up with a new one. But I thought that it would be fun. It's my Valentine's one. I just randomly picked whatever was sitting on my computer because they're just named writing prompt 1, 2, 3. So I just picked a random one. And it happens to be the one about the broken heart. So maybe I could change it up to one of the other old ones on the next sprint and then another old one if we have time for 3 sprints today, so that you guys get a bunch of different old ones to jumpstart your books. Haha. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you're reading too. I'm finishing up a Tess Gerritsen. I had read The Surgeon I feel like a billion years ago, and now I'm reading The Apprentice, and it's really good. Tess Gerritsen is a really good suspense writer. She's a really good writer in general, really tight, really good descriptions, really good overall internal conflict, goal, motivation, and conflict. And I don't know what's next. I've got that pile of books, and I was starting to go through that today to kind of figure out what's next, but I'll probably finish the Tess Gerritsen tonight. So I got to pick out some new books for the next week. I got to finish reading those ones in the box before I order. Don't let me order, guys. I have so many on my wish list that I want to order, and I've got to go by the Barnes and Noble this weekend to pick something up, and it's going to be really hard to resist and not go in there and go peruse and buy a bunch of books because that's really what I want to do. But I've got to get rid of some of what's in my house already first. My mother-in-law was supposed to come, and she takes the books I've already read and brings them to the library in the retirement place where she lives. And they love that. I'm actually putting my foreign editions in there now because I'm like, chances are there's somebody there that speaks Czechoslovakian or German. And So that pile, she didn't come last weekend. She didn't want to drive in the traffic, and I don't blame her. So I have a really, really big pile sitting in the guest bedroom too. So my husband's like, "Can we get some books out of here? Like maybe a couple boxes." So I got to just bring them up there. Just finished Ruth Ware's The Turn of the Key. It was really good, wasn't it, Brenda? I love Ruth Ware. I think I'm current, except for The Woman in Suite 11. I haven't read that one yet. I think I've read everything else that she has written. The Turn of the Key was really good. My first one that I read of hers was In a Dark, Dark Wood, and it was just super good because she has like these people on a bachelorette party in a house that is made of glass in the woods, and it's super dark outside, but you can kind of see something going on. So it was very creepy and spooky. Really, really good though. All right, let's do a sprint. And let me get my timer up so I make sure I pay attention to when it's over because otherwise I will forget. Um, and we can come back in a few minutes, and you guys got to let me know what you're working on and how it's going. I will see you in 15. Music is there. I think it's because I used the writing prompt thing. Remember, I thought that I was being so smart, guys, and I used it to in place of what I usually have for the writing prompts. And I think that I forgot to like restore the sound. Oh, I know what it is. I turned the sound completely down. That's what it is. I've got to figure out how to do that back up again when I switch over to the prompt. Why is Tearstone never here when I'm completely like at a loss on how to do this stuff? I think it's this one, but I'm not 100% positive. So if there's no music again, I'll be able to hear it. That's why I have my headphones in, and I will come back again. That was 15 minutes. Sorry. Yes, I did forget the timer. I had turned that off when I was using that writing prompt screen to do the questions on the Q&A that I did Monday. I think that was just Monday. So yes, Dexter, I'm sorry about that. Welcome to the chat, Nympha 10 and Senderomar. I saw you retracted a message. I don't even know what it was, but yes, sorry about forgetting the sprint timer. KW wrote, the ex-fiance of my heroine broke my main character's heart by breaking off their arrangement and executing both her father and newfound husband. Then she swears revenge against him. That is a good reason for revenge, I gotta say. It sounds like a ballerina John Wick kind of plot. So yeah, that sounds really, really cool. I did work on the book. It's like slow going because I completely forget what I've been thinking about for ideas all week because I'm not working on it during the week. Next week will be a much slower work week for me. So I'm definitely going to get some time in to work on the book and at least get it to progress forward a little bit, so that maybe I can at least come up with some kind of a plan for fitting it into my days. It's just, yeah, work has been crazy. It's in a good way. Like things have been trending upward at work, which is always good. But yeah, I would like some time off. I think I'm going to take some time off in April. My business partner was like, when are you taking a vacation? I'm like, I have a 4-page single spaced to-do list. I don't know, maybe April, maybe May. I don't know. I know that the end of this month, we have a recording date with a client on Friday, on the last Friday of this month. So I won't be able to do a sprint. I'll actually be filming a podcast. So I won't be able to do one then, but I should be here next week. We don't have anything next week, which is good. So I'll be able to be here. Hopefully I'll be like present with the book. So what's the thoughts, guys, on changing the prompt out? Because I can give you a new one. I've got like 7 million of them sitting here on my computer because I download them onto my computer, and then they just sit there until I remember to do something about my downloads because it gets too congested. I think I'll do a different one. We'll do another sprint, and I do have the timer on there. I think it should work like it's supposed to because it's like this programming data thing. I don't know, above my pay grade. But I thought that would be fun. We'll change it to a different one because we did do the broken heart one on Valentine's Day or Valentine's Day week. So let's try a different one. And Nimble 0, sorry, I can't tell. Like a 1 and an L kind of look the same, a lowercase L. And I'm hoping I will remember that. If I forget that next week, Nimble, feel free to tell me. Yeah, because I will probably forget. Can we try number 6,311,480, please? I think there are that many. I've been thinking about taking all of them and putting them into like a book of prompts someday. I probably have a few hundred now at this point because we've been doing sprints for a while. But that would require planning and forethought and time, and I have none of those things. So I'd rather write books anyways than do anything else. But I do definitely have another whiteboard video coming Monday. It was the one that I didn't get finished editing on Monday, and that's why I had the live Q&A. I just had way too much editing left to even think about getting it out last week or this week. But I have another one where I am analyzing the ordinary world of a book by Lisa Unger and talking about how that ties into the suspense plot and how you can make your ordinary world scenes that you have, if you have them. Not everybody has to have them. Not every book has them. But if you do have one, how you're going to make that tie in with the whole plot. So once again, my crappy handwriting and my whiteboard are going to make an appearance. So Nimble, everybody asks me what my favorite book is that I've written, and it's always the one I'm working on right now. Like, it's kind of like kids when you have a new baby. They're so much cuter and they smell nice. But the one that's closest to my heart is Around the Bend, which is a mother-daughter road trip book, because I wrote that the year after my mother died, and it was very close to my mom and my real relationship. So I was able to kind of work out some things with my mom on the page. My mom had a stroke, so she couldn't talk for the last 3 months of her life. Not very much, very little. And there was a lot of unresolved stuff. I was there when she died, but it was still really difficult because I didn't get to talk through things, and obviously I am a talker. So that book allowed me to kind of work through some things. The characters are completely different from my mom and myself. The issues that they have are not the same necessarily. They're the same in a variation, I guess, of what my life is. So that's the one that's the closest to my heart. I have lots of others that I've really enjoyed writing. And I think that oh my God, I totally forgot the title of it. Um, uh, now and then and now again. Oh my God, I totally forgot the title of my own book. The one that was originally The Sweetheart Bargain that came out is my second favorite, I would say, because I really loved that hero. Yeah, I totally forgot the title of my book because I got the rights back and I republished it. So yeah, that's okay. My mom died a really long time ago, guys. I used to run a mile for each year that she was gone until she'd been gone for more than 9 years. And I was like, I can't run that far. Like, I've never run a full marathon. Um, so I used to run a mile and then think about a memory of her with each of those miles, which was really nice and a sweet way to remember her. Now maybe I'll be like, maybe I'll run 100 yards per year. I don't know. It's been a long time. It's something that you always have that gap for. She died at a year younger than what I am now. Last year, I was 56 and my mother died at 56. And that was my weirdest birthday and my weirdest year. And I didn't talk about my age the whole year. I didn't want to celebrate my birthday. It was just too weird to live longer than my mother did. Now I'm older than she was when she died. And that's even weirder, but I didn't stop my birthday. I mean, it's just that one year. It was just an odd thing. My mother's mother, my grandmother, died when my mother was the same age as me. It's very kind of like the life comes full circle thing. And one of these days I'm going to have to put in a book from almost exactly the same thing with almost the exact same situation with her mother as what I went through with my mother. She had a stroke. My grandmother had a brain tumor. My mother did not have a brain tumor, but very close, like not talking, this whole thing. My mother was there. It was very, very bizarre how much it echoed. And the good thing about that was that it allowed me to understand my mother like that. I forgave a lot of things that had happened between us because I immediately understood her because I went through almost exactly what she went through. So it's very healing in some ways. Sandera Mar asked, advice on switching first point of view in alternating characters. Chapter says two main characters are drawing closer in an enemies to lovers story. That gets done a lot. First person has been super popular. I've actually been really enjoying it for the most part with the books that I've been reading. You really want to make the characters sound different. So they've got to have like different hobbies, different jobs, or different backgrounds in some way, shape, or form. Even when you're writing deep, close third person, it comes across as first person because the character has so much of their voice that is coming through. And I'm not talking about like an accent. I'm talking about just the way that they approach things. Like certain characters are not going to share a whole lot and they're going to rely on, let's say, their military background to figure out a problem, or they're going to resort to baking instead of actually talking about the problem. Those kinds of things are what make that character unique. And so you want to make sure that if somebody picks up the book and it doesn't say Jane or John or, Joe or whatever for your character's name at the top of the chapter, that they can figure out that it's the opposite character's point of view. And you also want to make sure that they have their own goal, motivation, and conflict for the entire book that maybe makes them conflict a lot more, but that is only complicated by the romance, is not the romance. It is because you want it to complicate the romance. Is it possible to edit too much? And how do I know if I'm doing it? That's a great question, KW. Basically, your gut will tell you that you're procrastinating, kind of like when, you should go to the gym and you joined the gym 6 years ago and you haven't gone one time and it's been charging your account every month for 6 years. And in your gut, you probably should go or at least cancel it. And they do make it super hard to cancel. Like I had a gym membership for a year. It took me a year to go into the gym to cancel it. And it is half a mile from my house. Yeah, I'm just like everybody else that way. Like I'm terrible about it. But anyways, like I kept knowing I needed to do that and putting it off and procrastinating. So when you sit down and you think about your book, and you're probably asking this question because maybe you're starting to feel like maybe I'm doing too much here, or maybe the editing that I'm doing is not fixing the problem. Maybe you don't know how to fix the problem yet, or maybe you're not able to see the problem yet. I would put the book aside and walk away from it for a few weeks, just let it sit there and read a bunch of books in that genre and maybe work on something else and then come back and look at it again with fresh eyes. Every time I go back into a book that I have set aside because there's something wrong and I'm not sure sometimes what it is, when I come back, I can see better what is missing in it. I can feel it like, okay, this feels really, really flat and I do need to fix this. Other times I come back and I'm like, okay, this is the best work I can possibly do at this moment in time. And I'm going to let it go out into the world and let the chips fall wherever they may. Sometimes it gets rejected. Sometimes it gets bought. Nobody ever knows. Indefinite discourse narrative is my preference, Sandera Mar said. And maybe that instead of first person point of view. Yes, whatever you really like reading and you think works best for the story and for the characters and for the reader. So when you have a enemies to lovers story, it's a romance. So you definitely want to be able to connect with the reader and have the reader connect with the characters. First person is sometimes a little bit harder because you're not getting that third person perspective, that little bit of a remove that allows the reader to fill themselves in there. And if they're not connecting with one of your characters, it'll be a little more difficult for them. I like writing romance in third person, but I've read some that were first person that were fantastic. So whatever point of view you decide to write in, study a lot of them that have been done that way and study how the author makes the reader care about the characters and connect with them, because they absolutely have to be rooting for them to work out in the love story. So, all right, let's try another sprint. And yes, I have the timer and I did fix the music. I don't know what the heck happened there. I chose the exact same file I always use and it just had this weird like techno sound to it. So I changed it halfway through and it went back to what I think is the original music. I don't know what the heck happened there. And 1,000 Great Books. I will get back to that question when we come back from our sprint. See, I had the timer, I had the music, I had everything. I felt like, oh, such a success, except for that first couple minutes where I could hear myself. So that's what I get for doing this last minute. And anyways, I didn't even think like to tell you guys how this works 53 minutes into it, but we do 15-minute sprints and I answer questions in between if this is your first time. And if it's your first time, welcome to this. We do them almost every Friday. Sometimes I have meetings or work runs over and I can't be here on a Friday, but we do them almost every Friday. A Thousand Great Books said, I'm looking to submit to a literary agency. They mentioned submitting a finished manuscript. By finished, do they mean completely edited, or can I expect some help from them? Should I even expect editing help? So not as much as there might have been in the past. When I first started, agents a long time ago, agents were a lot more hands-on. They had more time. Some agents still are really hands-on. I have a couple friends who have very hands-on agents who do help edit the books, but it has to be marketable before the agent will put that time in. And not every agent does editing help. Not every agent is a good editor or able to see what the problems are with the book. Sometimes they just know it's maybe not emotional enough or it's not a strong enough hook for them to sell it. The thing that an agent wants more than anything else is a book that they can sell. So if you come to them with, like, let's say a John Wick girl, that's the plot of Ballerina, right? That's a high concept. That's something that they can sell. I'm not saying that a John Wick girl book would sell right now. That's how they sold Ballerina. They went to them and they said, how about if we do John Wick, but with a girl? That's exactly the high concept pitch that they had when they went in to pitch Ballerina to the movie theaters and the movie execs. So that's what an agent does. An agent goes in and says, hey, I've got a book that's John Wick with a girl. I think you're going to really like it. And when they have that, they're able to sell it. So if you come to them with a plot or a book that isn't that high concept, that doesn't have that instant hook of or recognizability for the editors, then it's going to be harder for the agent to sell it. Now, you can be an excellent writer and have a book that doesn't necessarily have a high concept, but is really, really well written. And the agent can say, okay, I'm going to try to find a home for this because this is such a good book. There's been some books that I have recommended to my agent and people that I've put in contact with other agents because they were really, really good writers and they deserved a chance to have their book out there. But the reality of the market is that it is inundated, it is flooded, and it's only going to get worse as people start trying to write books with AI, which, yeah, it's not that good. But that is going to flood the market even more, so it's going to become more competitive. So you definitely need something that the agent says, I can sell this. Now, by finished, and that's a long way to get to the word finished, but by finished, they definitely mean that it has to be done, completely written, and it has to be pretty close to ready for publication. Agents understand that first-time authors don't necessarily know what is wrong with their books or how to fix it. And even somebody like me that's published a bazillion books, like I still will write something and I don't quite know what's wrong with it. And my agent will take a look at it and say, okay, maybe we need to increase this or take some of this out. But they want it to be ready to go because the longer they sit on it, the less money they're making, frankly. And everybody in the business, in any business, wants to make money. And the more time they spend with you going back and forth on edits, that's also money that they're not making. But if you have a high concept hook, then sometimes they can sell it on proposal or sell it in the shape that it's in right then and there, even if it's not quite ready for prime time. And then that gets everybody some money and then they can work on it. That is literally like the 1% story because the market is so competitive and so flooded, they really want to have something that's really well done. So there may be some editing help, but not necessarily a lot. Now, that said, you can also choose an agent that doesn't do editing help if you want to. If you don't want that extra opinion in your book or it doesn't work well with your creative process, then find an agent that doesn't do that. Some agents don't, some agents do. Either way, you want them to be reputable and you want to talk to at least 3 clients of theirs. When I found my current agent, I had gone agent hunting before that. And this agent, I talked to 3 other people that worked with her and had pretty in-depth conversations with them about how she worked with them and stuff like that, because I really wanted to make sure that she was going to be the right person for me. And you want somebody that you want representing you that has, like I've met agents that are really scuzzy. Like I would not want to even sit down with them for a cup of coffee. maybe they were really cutthroat, great shark agents. And I know people that have been represented by them and got really good deals, but that is not somebody that I want representing me. I want somebody that I am proud to say this is my agent and I feel like is a good face for me to New York. So would like advice about finding a good freelance editor or developmental editor and line editor. So you basically get what you pay for, right? And I know it's expensive. I know it's expensive. I use editors myself. When I take my previously published books and republish them, or when I self-publish a book, I hire an editor for that. I think the best bang for your buck is going to be to find a really, really good developmental editor. And there are some editors out there that are former editors at big publishing houses. You can find them on Readsy a lot of times, and they have reviews and they have their experience listed. They're not just like some person on Fiverr that you don't have any information about. Readsy has been pretty good for me. I would say I've had mixed results, but pretty good, better than a lot of other places I have tried to find professionals. And you, again, want to go see what their work is. A lot of times I've met editors who just say, oh, go look at this book. I worked on that. Well, worked on that doesn't necessarily mean edited a lot. If you can see a before and after, or you can talk to a couple of clients or see some reviews where they say, yes, this editor took it from this state to this state, then you know whether you have a good one or not. Because there's a lot of people that can say they worked on a book and didn't really do much of anything to it. A good developmental editor, if you're going to put your money into anything, I think a good developmental editor for at least the first chapter should be able to tell you everything that's wrong with the book, because I will tell you that I know within 3 pages exactly what's wrong with your book and why it's not going to take off, or why it's not probably going to get bought or sell really well. And it's not that you guys are failures or, you don't know what you're doing. It's because there's so many things and moving parts to kind of put into a book. And that first few pages is your calling card to the world. So it's really important to get those right. And if you can get a good developmental editor that will work with you and really help you figure out how to layer all those things in that I talk about in the videos of the internal and the external and the inciting incident, or catalyst as I call it, and all of those things in together, then you really are on a much better path to go forward with the book. Now, I have some people that have worked with me as a developmental editor, which I am not taking any clients right now. I do not have time for that. But that had worked with me many, many times, like going forward with their book over the chapters over and over again, because they were really trying to learn how to do it themselves. And my goal as a developmental editor was to always get them to the point where they know how to do it themselves. It's not to go make $1 million off of them, because a really good developmental editor is very expensive. You are paying for their experience. You're paying for my experience when you work with me. And they're going to save you a lot of rejections. They're going to save you a lot of energy wasted in the wrong directions, because it's hard to write a book. Everybody sitting here on this live stream knows it is hard to write a book. Once you've got that under control and you know how to marry those 3 things that are going on, the internal plot, the external plot, and the catalyst and everything, and you can marry all of that together pretty well, then you can go to a line editor. If you feel like you have a really strong handle on it, I don't think you necessarily have to pay for a developmental editor for an entire book, unless you don't feel like you have a handle on that. And I don't know without looking at the book or anything like that. But if you feel like you have a good handle on it, then you can go to a line editor, which will be less expensive than a developmental editor. And the line editor will just basically give you more advice on a line-by-line basis. They don't necessarily do big, deep structural things. That's why the developmental editor is there. I don't know what it will cost you. I know what I charge, and I know what I have paid the people that work for me. But it's not inexpensive. It can be a few $1,000s to work on a book, because it is a whole lot of time. If you saw what I put into a developmental edit, and if you guys go back and watch those manuscript feedback live streams that I did about 8 months ago or so, if you go back and look at that and you see how much work I put into 250 words of somebody's submission, you'll know why you're paying so much money for a developmental editor. It's a lot of work. When I go in and really dive into a book and say, here's all the things that you need to fix, I'm also showing you how to fix it. I'm explaining everything about internal conflict or whatever it is that you're struggling with. So you want to put your money into a really strong developmental editor and a good line editor. And copy editors, they're not that expensive. Formatting, not that expensive, comparatively speaking, to the others. So It's a long answer, I guess. But yes. Oh, Silver Ollie, time change. Yes, the time change. Oh my gosh, that totally knocked me for a loop this week. But I do like the longer daylight, so it's nice to be able to drive home and it's still daylight. And thank you, Brenda, for the compliment. And yes, about staying in the trenches a little bit longer, not working on a high concept, but that's okay. You can sometimes twist what you've got and turn it into a high concept, because it doesn't have to be a like Marvel movie level high concept. It just needs to be something that sales can look at and say, oh, we know exactly how we'll sell this to readers. Because you're not selling to the editor and you're not selling to the agent, you're selling to the sales department. And they're frankly lazy. They're not going to read the book. They need somebody to come to them and go, hey, this is Ballerina with a girl. I mean, this is John Wick with a girl. And so if you can encapsulate your book into a really strong, 1 or 2 sentence pitch where they get it like that, they will be interested in it. It doesn't mean that you have to have some super duper big blockbuster idea. It just means you need to be able to encapsulate it in a way that people get it. You can study the backs of books. All I have here is a cozy mystery, but you can study the backs of books, these little bits here. Those are usually like kind of what the blurb was that the author used to sell the book. I don't have any other books on my desk right now, surprise, except for my own. But those little blurbs at the back that are just 1 or 2 sentences, you can see this is how they sold the book. You can also study Publishers Marketplace, which is I believe it's a free newsletter that goes out. I get it every week. And it tells you what the deals are that people have sold. And when when my agent announces a deal that I have to send in a 1 or 2 sentence blurb, and you can see what they are buying and why they're buying it and what they're paying for it, because they announce whether it's a nice deal or a great deal or a really good, big, huge deal. So study things like that. It really helps you see, okay, so there's been a big interest in, I don't know, vampire demon hunters because of the K-pop movie. Maybe that's what I need to kind of hone in on when I'm pitching my book. Is that part of my book? So it's more a marketing thing than, making sure that you're writing the next blockbuster. It's a marketing thing. So it's really all about selling to the sales department, because the sales department is who is going to sell to the readers. That's exactly it. And Senator Omar, thank you. I'm glad that you got some good feedback from the 250 word edits. And I do want to bring those back. I've just got to find a way to have enough time to do that and everything else. And frankly, I'm going to be on deadline with HarperCollins with the book when I get my any revisions back. I don't know if I'll have revisions or not, but whatever I get back at the end of the month from my editor, I have a book due July 15th. So 50,000 words between here and July 15th. I can absolutely do it. I may end up doing a series about remind me to sit down and write my book. But yeah, so it's not designed to make you give up 1,000 great books. It's meant to help you see it from the business perspective that they really want to know. And you've got to intrigue them, and you got to give them a reason to really, really want to buy it or read it. And when I've pitched books in the past, I do something that makes them, or say something, write something that I hope intrigues them and makes them say, damn, I got to really read this book. So think about the blurbs that you have seen for the books that come up. Think about how friends have given you word of mouth about a book. Think about what you see in all of these different materials that promote books, or even on like a book app or on Goodreads or coming from the publisher's website. They're going to give you a 1 or 2 sentence pitch for that book. And that's all they've got. They've got a very limited time to get your attention. So you want to study those and use those to market your own book. The information is right there. You've just got to distill it down to how are they marketing this book? Because I'm reading suspense, and so a spine-tingling psychological thriller with a serial killer that may have gotten away with murder 30 years ago. Okay, that's going to get my attention because I read a lot of suspense. Whereas, a heartwarming story about a boy finding his puppy at the end of the day, that's not what I'm reading right now. I'm reading a lot of serial killers and things like that. So I'm not going to be as interested in that. But if I'm a reader that's really looking for a heartwarming, feel-good story at the end of the day, I'm going to pick up the one about the boy and the puppy. I liken it too to how I share other creators with my friends. Like there's this guy on TikTok called Jacob Simon, And I've been following him since he had like 2 followers. He does good news only. And I pitch it to everybody, not pitch it. I'm not trying to sell him. I'm not his agent, but I tell everybody, if you need something to end your day on with a good note rather than doom scrolling, subscribe to his channel, because he has a good news every day update. And he always says something like, for the first and only time, it's March 13th, 2026, which also makes you think and kind of makes me sad, because it means it'll never be this day again. But it can also mean it'll never be this day again. So if it's a crappy day, it'll never be here again. But I tell people, if you want to end your day on a great note and not doom scroll, watch Jacob Simon. That's a marketing way of selling him. That's how he sells himself. If you want to watch this instead of doom scroll, watch me. So you're doing the same thing with your book. You're marketing it. And that's really just a little kind of thing that you need to learn, because it will take you a long way in how to sell the book. And then if you can write well, they're going to snap that right up, and they will market it and they will do their best. Doesn't mean it will sell well. There's so many bazillion factors that go into the sale of a book that you have almost no control over, that you cannot impact a whole lot. The best thing you can do is write another great book and another great book. And I know when you're in the middle of the first one, or you've like been struggling from one for 2 or 3 years or 5 years or 10 years, it can seem really overwhelming to think about writing another one. But it does get easier the more you do it. It gets easier, never easy. So, and you guys can totally do it. I can't remember if I did 3 or 2 of these today, but we're after 5. And yeah, I did have mostly no screw ups, always a good thing. And Gayla, I appreciate the kind words. I appreciate you guys joining me today and really kind of getting me off my couch and over to my computer to do this live stream, and actually like getting my act kind of sorted together. You can tell I've had a long day. I appreciate you guys being here. And Silver Ollie, sorry that we ran at the time that you ended up, the stupid time change ended up missing it. But thank you, Brenda. It was good to see all of you guys. And I would love to do one of these in person the next time I'm speaking. I am speaking in Pennsylvania next year in March, and I'm doing another workshop for the Atlanta Writers Conference this March 23rd on conflict, and then one in April on layering scenes. And that's the end of what I'm teaching for Atlanta Writers Conference. But if you have a writers group, or you have a organization that you want to bring in a speaker, just reach out to me. I speak a lot, and I love to do workshops. So that way you guys could like actually interact and do the questions if I don't have a Q&A going on the channel. And thank you. 1,000 Great Books. I'm glad that helped. So be here next week, guys. And I appreciate you joining me, and I will see you all very soon. So have a great weekend. Jumpstart your